"Is there anyone in this rout with authority to treat with me?" he asked. "Or indeed with wit to understand me? Not thou at least," he mocked, turning to Aragorn with scorn. "It needs more to make a king than a piece of elvish glass, or a rabble such as this. Why, any brigand of the hills can show as good a following."
Hey everyone, Yoyston here, and I hope you all are doing well, wherever you are in Middle-earth. Today we'll be taking a look at the character named the Mouth of Sauron, his history and theories concerning who and what he might have been. Thanks to the articles and videos in the cards and description that helped with today's video. My friends, thank you all so much for joining me here today. Let's begin our tale. Robed in black, seated atop a great black horse with a great metal helm upon his head, the Mouth of Sauron, or Lieutenant of Barad-dûr, came forth before the final battle of the War of the Ring, the Battle of the Black Gate. He came forth from out of the Black Gate to treat with Sauron's enemies, but more or less to goad them and frighten them. Due to the nature of this battle that was to come, either side knew the other would not give up, but the captains of the West, whose entire objective was to draw the gaze of Sauron and bide time for Frodo, decided to give Sauron a chance to retreat. No, instead the Mouth of Sauron offered tokens to frighten the captains, items from their hobbit friends, or rather, friend, as the Mouth thought there had only been one halfling captured in Mordor, one he deemed to be only a spy. He brought out the mithril coat, a cloak of Lorien, and Sam's sword of Westerness, which were soon reclaimed by Gandalf, who was already wondering at how much the Mouth of Sauron truly knew regarding the true nature of the hobbits in Mordor. Then came the terms of the Mouth of Sauron, that the West pull back across Anduin, swearing an oath never to oppose Sauron again, that they would help rebuild Orthanc for Sauron's loyal servant, the Mouth of Sauron himself, and they would never raise a sword against Sauron, which were of course unacceptable terms for the West. Of course the West did not give up and stood against Sauron, and so the time of neutrality for the messenger passed and the battle began. Now, concerning this battle and the aftermath, we do not exactly know the fate of the Mouth of Sauron. Pippin thought to himself that if he could smite him with his blade, his deed might be comparable to Merry slaying the Witch King, but this never happened. It is possible that the Mouth of Sauron died some way, either as a warrior or commander or simple servant of Sauron during or after the battle and the destruction of the ring. Now, it's also possible that, like he is portrayed in the Lord of the Rings Online, the Mouth of Sauron was, in a way, an heir of Sauron, a lord of Mordor after the fall who dealt with a devastating loss. But in many ways, I do doubt this. Perhaps if that was the case, however, the Mouth of Sauron would have played a role in the new Shadow book, after the events of the Lord of the Rings. But either way, this character has been quite mysterious, and many have speculated about his nature over the years. The Mouth of Sauron himself is enigmatic, as he is held to be an important messenger by Sauron, possibly being the one sent to Erebor before the War of the Ring to ask Dane Ironfoot information about Bilbo and so forth, but it is possible that this was actually not him and was a Nazgul instead. The Mouth of Sauron was mannish, having a great stature like a fallen man of Númenor, having learned sorcery under Sauron and being once more high in Sauron's esteem and more intelligent and evil and cunning than an orc. But even the Mouth of Sauron name is a bit odd, as Sauron in Elvish means the abhorred. Perhaps this is some sort of translation, but even then the Mouth of Sauron still calls his master Sauron the Great, so I'm not sure. Perhaps the Mouth of Sauron also had some sort of other name that we know not, as in the early manuscript his name was supposedly Mordu, meaning black darkness or black night. But in the canon, the Mouth of Sauron had actually forgotten his own name in his fall to evil. According to the War of the Ring book from the History of Middle-earth saga, the chapter on Tolkien's notes concerning the Black Gate Opens chapter speaks about different draft ideas which said he, first written as the Lieutenant of Morgul, which may have been a slip, was a living man captured by Sauron in his youth, and was corrupted. This idea then became that the Mouth of Sauron was actually a renegade, a son of a wise and noble family of Gondor, turned to evil and enamored by the Dark Tower and its knowledge and power. In these notes it states also that, at least originally, Gandalf actually kind of cursed the Mouth of Sauron at the end of their exchange, saying that if he set so much as a thorn in his prisoner, the Hobbit's side, the Mouth of Sauron would rue it throughout all the ages. Now, even if these aren't correct as to what the Mouth of Sauron turned out to be, it is good to know the concepts Tolkien had in mind with the creation of this character. Anyway, it seems that canonically, Tolkien landed on the idea that this character was actually a Black Númenórean, as stated in the book itself. One of the Dunedain corrupted by Sauron and his teachings, of whom I have another video discussing. And so, though the Mouth of Sauron likely perished in 3019, I have no idea how old this character actually was. However, though he is a Black Númenórean, some of the thoughts and theories about this character are interesting and maybe open up a bigger dialogue concerning him. One that I've heard tell of over the many years since his appearance in Peter Jackson's films especially, is that the Mouth was a blue wizard, due to the fact that he had underlying sorcery and was a strange person of power in service of Sauron. This has more credence if one believes in Tolkien's earlier ideas concerning the blue wizards turning to evil and to Sauron's service. I have another video that goes into the blue wizards more, but I actually do doubt this theory, though it is fascinating to think about. The Mouth of Sauron did not seem so powerful that he was a wizard, as he seemed afraid of Aragorn and of his physical safety around the new King of Gondor. Of course, the Mouth of Sauron says Old Greybeard in reference to Gandalf, which seems much more casual than many other names of the wizard, but I would bet this was more or less a reference to the fact that he had at least been told about Gandalf beforehand, maybe even studied about him under Sauron, and knew of him and his great power and nothing more. Another theory which I have actually not heard of until I made this video comes from Thomas Snerdley on Quora, stating in the article in the description that the Mouth of Sauron was actually Eärnur, the last king of Gondor, who rode off to duel the Witch King at Minas Morgul and never returned. This character was used actually in a similar way as the character Mordrith in The Lord of the Rings Online. Now honestly, I do think this theory is awesome in concept and could provide background to who this Black Númenórean actually is. This would also mean that he was well over 1,000 years old, and I suppose depending on Sauron's method, the Dark Lord might have kept him alive all this time. However, I do not believe he entered Sauron's service until after Sauron's return to Mordor, less than a century before the War of the Ring. And while this might be cool headcanon, I don't buy it, as I do think this would have made for some other interaction between him and Aragorn, between the last ruling King of Gondor and the new ruling King of Gondor. No, I think the Mouth of Sauron was just a Black Númenórean of more recent times, found in Umbar or Harad, a descendant of his former corrupted ancestors, that Sauron also corrupted through sorcery and kept alive, whose malice, cunning, and abilities made him far more useful than many of Sauron's other servants, even and especially as a man, and one with the corrupted blood of Númenor. In many ways, the Mouth of Sauron was a great physical representation of the Black Númenóreans, especially standing near those with Númenórean ancestry of the faithful, like Aragorn and Imrahil. As many games and non-canonical stories depict, this character had the potential to be and to do a lot more than we know he did in the canon, and this makes him a very intriguing villain indeed, especially to use in these non-canonical stories. And it is possible that he did do more that we don't know about. And so we come to the end of our tale on the Mouth of Sauron. From the Mouth of Sauron, we see that we should try to overcome our fear of the unknown, just as the captains of the West did in this moment, that it holds no power over us. They rejected the Mouth of Sauron's lies, and it led them to victory. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video on the Mouth of Sauron, please hit that like button and share this with a friend. What are your thoughts on the Mouth of Sauron? Let me know in the comments below. Also, what are your theories about him? As it is with many enigmatic characters in Arda, it is so cool to explore their lore and theorize who and what they might have been, and it's great to have non-canonical stories to show them off a bit more. The Mouth of Sauron is really cool, and it's interesting how we would all like to know more about this character. Thanks to our Valor Tier patrons, Kyle Wetzel, Peter Shepard, Jonathan Putnam, Mark Kralik, Blair Scout and Merton, John Hume, Sam McBee, Matt Sabach, Elizabeth Calvert, Maz Gibbs, Reese Jenkins, Adam Petrulik, Brandon Glidden, Molly Sullivan, Daniel Burns, Anthony Harmon, Dorwin Gray, Arthur, and Merlin. Thank you all so much, and thanks to our patrons and YouTube members. The support means a lot. Please subscribe and hit that bell button to join the Men of the West and all of the Free Peoples today. And I'll see you all again tomorrow for the live recording of our 50th podcast, and then again next week with a different sort of theory video on what if Sauron had recovered the One Ring. My friends, you all are the best. Thank you all so much for joining me on this adventure. Until the next one.